Hey there. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Sonia Space. And today I want to get into talking about the first year with my baby. And I feel like I needed to make this episode because, first of all, Raya is my first child. And, you go into the situation with no experience. You don't know what's coming, right? You can have people give you advice, give you a heads up. But once you're actually going through it, you realize that obviously every baby is different and the way you function with the baby, like the dynamic of your household, the dynamic of your baby care varies, right? Raya turned a year old on December 27th, and I felt like it would just be the perfect time to talk about my first year with Raya and kind of my experience that I had with Raya. Maybe you can relate to it. Maybe you can think of it as advice. I also feel like it's changed me in ways that I couldn't have prepared for. And it really does sneak up on you, right? The routines, the priorities shifting, and it can be really tough. But once you figure it all out, and it does take some time, it's just your life is so different, right? Like your lifestyle is very different when it comes to taking care of a baby because you're responsible for a whole nother human being. You can't just get up whenever you want and do whatever you want. You actually plan your day around baby care. And it's probably going to be that way for a while, right? And now she's a toddler. And of course, there's different things that come with the toddler territory. But the first year is always rough. I just want to talk about my experiences, my feelings that I went through with having baby Raya, and kind of also go into the things that we've learned when it comes to sleep, when it comes to feeding, when it comes to items that we've used, the developmental milestones that Raya has gone through, and just give you my side of the story. I just want to say that prior to becoming a parent, I truly thought I knew what love was. And I truly thought I knew what exhaustion was. The type of tiredness that you feel around a new baby, like, my last episode, I talked about this, but having a baby is the hardest thing that I've ever done. It is the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. And it comes with the exhaustion that you feel. It comes with figuring out what you need to do, right? Because every baby's different. Like something might work out for another baby, but it may not work out for your baby because every baby is different. And then their temperaments are different. All really just depends on your baby. So the exhaustion, the tiredness that you feel prior to becoming a parent, that was not exhaustion. But flip side of this, the love that you feel, the bonding that you get from the baby. And I know it differs for every woman out there, depending on what you're going through. I understand postpartum depression, all of that. But once it actually sets in, you never feel like I've never felt that joy and love that I felt with Raya, like ever, ever, ever in my life. And I've had pets, like I love them so much, but the feeling that you get with your own child, especially as a mother, that you had this baby in you and you were able to give birth to this baby, and then you see this baby growing up in front of your eyes. Like the first year, I'm just like, you were literally like a potato and now you're already taking your first steps all within a year. It's so crazy how much they develop the first year. But these feelings that I have now, I have never felt that way before. So the first year isn't just about learning how to take care of a baby. It's also about learning how to take care of a version of yourself that obviously no longer exists. I still have me, who I am as a person, and I still do get to do the things that I enjoy, but I do have to be really mindful of doing those things with having a baby. I have to be mindful of the way I plan things. I have to be mindful of her needs. She is my priority, period. Like my family is my priority, but I have also had to tell myself that before that, make sure that you're taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever it may be. Because if I can't show up for myself, I can't show up for my daughter. I've mentioned this multiple times in my other episodes because I truly am a huge advocate of believing in that. So again, right, the routines change, the priorities shift. The way you move through the world, it just feels different, but everything matters. Everything matters more. I just feel like, especially when you have a baby, there's this whole side of it's crazy. I'm constantly thinking about this. I'm always going to be worried about her, right? Like I never want anything to happen to her because I just feel like my heart is outside of my chest. I'm like, oh my God, I just want to make sure that everyone treats her with respect and with care and she knows how to stand up for herself. There were definitely moments where I didn't feel like myself, and there were moments of doubt, like feeling really overwhelmed, and kind of, I would say, some form of grief for basically the lifestyle you had prior to having a baby. And just because you're struggling, it doesn't mean that you're failing. And I learned that much later on, especially now. And I'm just like, she's doing great now. Yeah, we have our new challenges, but she's obviously, we were able to overcome all of the challenges early on. And, she's a happy and healthy baby. So, yes, there's all these challenges, but of course, there's obviously moments that literally change everything for you, right? I remember when I got my first smile from Raya, it was like around 3-ish something months. And we were in the living room and she started smiling and cooing at me. And I was like, oh my God, this is the most beautiful smile ever. I still tell her to this day, I'm like, you have the most beautiful smile I've ever seen because it literally melts my heart. And knowing that I'm walking around and she sees me and her face lights up and then her reaching out for me and the cuddles, just the first mama knowing, actually meaning mama, saying dada, actually calling out for me. Like I have never felt this way in my entire life. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful feeling that I get. And yes, there are these hard parts, but there's also meaning behind it. And if you have listened to my other episodes, especially talking about postpartum preeclampsia anxiety, I was diagnosed with those. So the first few months was really rough for me when it came to my health. Obviously, I was taking care of myself, but also taking care of the baby. And that's where like Jesse really stepped in. He took care of the baby a little bit more than me, honestly, at the beginning, because I was really struggling to take care of my health. But then I was also breastfeeding. It wasn't exclusively breastfeeding, but I was breastfeeding like here and there. And then I obviously needed to catch up on my sleep because the sleep deprivation also could increase your blood pressure. So that I would say first few months were really rough for me. And then obviously the baby blues, like the depression and then everything that you feel on top of postpartum, obviously having to deal with the changes to your body, the pain that's associated with that and the bleeding that comes with that. So that was quite a lot. Her waking up every 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't remember like constantly crying, wanting milk. I was always worried about is she getting enough milk because I was like breastfeeding and I was pumping and then I was supplementing with formula and that drove me crazy. It drove me crazy doing all three of those things because I didn't have enough supply. So I'm always like, oh, my baby's going to go hungry. My baby's not going to get enough milk. And then I got to a point around like 3.5, 4 months where I just stopped breastfeeding and I stopped pumping. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to stick to formula. Fed is best. I was really happy and satisfied with the fact that she got the colostrum. She did get some breast milk, but even for like the sake of my mental health, I was just glad that I was able to stop so Jesse can really help me with the feeding aspect of it as well, right? Because it was just a lot with the whole pumping every night, and it was just too much for me. So the first 3 months, it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with because it's a newborn baby. You really have to meet their needs. There's such higher expectations, and you want to make sure that they're well fed, that they're warm, and they're sleeping well. And we were very sleep deprived around this time because Raya would wake up all the time. We had the Harper baby bassinet, and I feel like she didn't do too well, and she was really gassy too, so she would move around at night. That's when we realized that she was really gassy too at the very beginning. And then we started the Milacon. So there's always something, right? We were done with the breastfeeding and the pumping. The next thing was the gassiness. And so Kendamil worked really well for us. We tried Bobby. I know it works for a lot of people. Did not work for us. But Kendamil, the organic Kendamil, was just amazing for our daughter, right? And we're like, okay, is she pooping fine? Or is her poop color okay? Is her consistency okay? Like she was constipated, on Bobby. And that was just her experience with Bobby. But Kendamil was something that worked really well for her. So now it was easy enough for both of us to be able to give her the milk. So the first few months, I feel like we spent a lot of time figuring out the sleep and the feeding. And what really helped, and I think I mentioned this in another podcast episode, we got the Mom Cozy thermos. So it would just keep the water warm instead of using a warmer because the baby's crying and you're trying to warm up the milk. Like never again am I doing that. So you can also put breast milk in there and also put water in there and it keeps it at a specific temperature. And even like till like now, because we're weaning her off of the formula milk to use whole milk, we still use that thermos because it just stays warm and you can literally make the milk within 30 seconds as opposed to a few minutes. So that was one thing that we definitely use, having a diaper pail, a really nice diaper pail to put all your diapers in. It's a really good spot to contain all the, the poop smells and stuff. And that was really convenient for us. Also, we got the pack and play. So we did have a crib for her, but honestly, I feel like she would sleep really good in the pack and play. When we got the mattress from Amazon, it was a little on the softer side, but she sleeps so good in the pack and play. So she started sleeping really well in the pack and play later. We figured that out. So firm hard surfaces was not it for her. So we went a little bit on the softer side. And let me tell you something, even till this day, she sleeps in her pack and play. We have a nice crib for her in her nursery. Nope, it's because she moves around so much. She'll hit her head on the crib. But with the pack and play, she can't really do that. So we're like, as long as you're sleeping and you can put yourself back to sleep and soothe yourself, you can use the pack and play for as long as you want. So that's another thing we figured out early on, that the pack and play worked the best for her. So you just have to figure out what works best for your baby, of course. And we realized like lullaby music was really effective for her. Another thing we really struggled with, Raya started getting her teeth. She started like pre-teething around the 4-month mark, and she started getting teeth towards like the end of 4 or 5 month mark. She is going to be 13 months soon. She already has 9 teeth and there's another one coming. It was back to back teething. And of course, if you're a parent, you know that depending on the child too, she was just really struggling with her sleep. So we would have Tylenol, we would have to give her frozen celery sticks, like whatever we could do to manage and alleviate the teething pain and soreness. So that also contributed to the sleep problems that she had. Sleep was really a struggle for us. We tried sleep training. It did not work for us. You know why? Because she was teething. We're not going to make her cry through the night when she's in pain. Started purees around like the 5-month mark. We started baby-led weaning. I did it a little bit later, closer to like 9 months. And, we did it like little by little. And now I know what she likes. And we're still using milk, of course, like the whole milk. We're weaning off of the formula, giving her whole milk in a sippy cup. And so I feel like we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And we really started seeing that once she started sleeping through the night. So that was a big deal for us, being able to sleep through the night, because if we're rested, we're able to better take care of her. Like we feel good and we feel like, oh, wow, we got like our lives back. So her sleeping through the night really helps. Another thing that I did, which really helped with the routine and everything else in the house, is that we hired a nanny around 5-month mark. And that really helped because I was going back to work. I was working from home. My husband works from home too. So it was really nice to have a nanny in the house, and we can all keep an eye on her and be able to observe her developmental milestones and whatnot. So that's also a really exciting thing that you experience with a baby. There's like the playing, the grabbing, the crawling, the standing up. She already started taking her first steps. She's really close to walking independently. We've been practicing with her. It's really beautiful, and it's such an amazing feeling to see them go through these milestones. I remember the first time she crawled, I was like, oh my God, because we personally really struggled with tummy time. Like she hated tummy time. And I was also so hard on myself. She started crawling in September. So that was like the 9-month mark. Yeah, it was 8.5, 9 months. That's when she started like legit crawling. And now she's taking her first steps. So it's really nice seeing them. It's really nice being part of the journey and seeing them grow up in front of your eyes. And I'm like, girl, you were just a little newborn. And now look at you already taking your first steps. And she can independently play. She can babble. She can say a bunch of words, mama, dada. She calls my mom nana. Like she just says random things. And I feel like babies actually know a lot more words than they can say. I saw a video on TikTok and I can tell because when I ask her where something is, she knows exactly what it is or like points to it. So they actually know what things are. But of course, being able to say those words takes time. So it's really nice to see them go through the developmental milestones. So these are some of the things that, you will experience the first year, and, you may experience it earlier, you may experience it later, right? And every baby goes at their own pace. Every baby is different. Every baby goes through their own pace. Like I didn't even give Raya solids. The doctor was like, you can give her solids or purees at 4 months. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I waited till 5.5 months. And then baby-led weaning, you can essentially start at 6 months. I started at 9 months. I did not feel comfortable. I'm pretty sure she could have slept better if we started the baby-led weaning beforehand, because then, she can get more solids into her system. But no, I waited. So what really helped us was having a routine and making sure that they've eaten well, making sure that, you can understand what their needs are, knowing when they're cold, knowing when they're hot, knowing when they're in pain. You figure all of this out. You figure out their cries. You figure all of that out eventually. Especially as a mother, I think you're really in tune with the things that they say and the types of cries that they have. You can kind of tell exactly what they need and you figure that out. I think basically once you kind of figure out what their needs are and they're well fed and you're on top of it with their nap times, essentially create a routine for them, a bedtime routine for them as well. Like we actually started doing that recently. We weren't even doing it before. And then we realized she would get overstimulated. So make sure to incorporate bedtime routine early on. That is my advice to you all. So we started doing this almost 2 months ago. And I feel like that also helped with having her sleep through the night better. She wakes up, she has breakfast between 7 and 8. She has lunch at 12. She has dinner at 5. Her bedtime routine starts 45 minutes prior to her actual bedtime. We'll read a book if she's up for it. I'll give her a massage. I will brush her teeth. I'll give her milk. I still rock her a tad bit. And then I could tell she just wants to be in her pack and play. And then she's able to soothe herself. I think she's getting better about that. But I'm just saying, we didn't sleep train her. We didn't do any of those things with her. I think she just kind of figured it out eventually. So don't feel bad for not sleep training. And if you're doing it, great. If it works out for you, amazing. It just depends on your circumstances. But I feel like with us, she eventually just figured it out. And like I said, I think sleep training was a little rough for us because separation anxiety, all that teething. So every baby is different and you do what is best for you. First year can be extremely challenging. But they grow up so fast and they're so adorable around this time. If you're in the first year with a baby, I hope that you know that you're definitely doing better than you think. I feel like, yes, we didn't have it all figured out. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to keep showing up and you eventually do figure it out. So you figure out some things and then there's always something else. You don't have to have it figured out. The best thing you can do for your baby is just show up for your baby and you'll figure it out eventually with whatever you need to do. But yes, the first year I would say is really rough because, they're newborns, they're babies, but it does get easier. And at least for us, I feel like once we were able to sleep better at night, it definitely got way easier for us. I just want to be very clear that when you're struggling with something, it does not mean that you're failing. It means that you're human. All that means is that you're human. And especially as a mother, I know things can get very hard. Having the invisible load of doing the laundry, figuring out what they're going to wear, and then the doctor's appointments and what needs to be next year. We're constantly, we have a million tabs open as a mom. I thought I had a million tabs open prior to having a baby. No, I'm constantly thinking about doing things, especially when it comes to making their foods and meal prepping. Like I said, there's always something that you have to think about. Again, I just want to say, I hope you know that you're doing better than you think and you don't need to have it all figured out. You just have to keep showing up. And to my baby, to Raya, it's like the world's best feeling when she chooses me. And then also, thank you for teaching me how deep her love can be and how deep love can go. It's one of the most beautiful feelings a parent can have. And again, thank you for tuning in and thank you for being a part of my journey. I definitely have way more stories and way more things to share about having a baby. And if you want more episodes like this, definitely let me know. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. You can also leave me a review. I would really appreciate that. But yeah, I'm just so glad to have a community of people that are tuning in and give me feedback or let me know this is something that they can resonate with. So just know that you're not alone and, we're all in this together. And of course, if you have any other questions, feel free to DM me. I do respond back if you have any questions, or you can leave a comment in my videos. I do respond back. I'm also active on YouTube as well. So feel free to reach out to me. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. And I hope you have a great day. And if you're a mother or a father and you're part of this journey of motherhood, fatherhood, parenthood, I wish you all the best. And I just want to let you know that it does get easier and it does get better. And please be easy on yourself. Till then, see you next time.